Hello and welcome to the Inbetween podcast. I'm usual host Joe Scorn, and I'm joined here by Tony Tonzadarte. Tony, hi.
Hello, I'm here. I'm still
How are
alive.
you?
I'm still alive. That's the main thing.
We have information on Dr. Disrespect's ban, and we will be divulging that information at the end of the podcast, so make sure to keep watching. This is a US Army strategy that I've learned recently. Make sure to keep watching to the end. There will be a giveaway of a Peter Molyneux mask that I have on the top of my wardrobe that we
Yeah,
made for a skit. So yeah, check that out. Yeah, that was
yeah.
kind of
You're only printed
that
out
that
three
was kind of
times
insane, wasn't it? So if you don't, I'll talk about that, I guess. The
right now.
apparently the U.S. Army was doing live streams on Twitch where they had like a fake giveaway of like an Xbox controller, and they were getting people to put in their personal information, like they were data scraping people, and it like led them to a recruitment page for the fucking army. So
Yeah.
I don't know about that. Apparently Twitch has shut them down now to stop them from doing this. Just seems a little bit insane.
Yeah. I mean, I was saying before we started going live that I learned that they subsidize movies to put in U.S. Army propaganda in films, such as, you may know one of them,
Hmm.
the first Transformers film was eligible for this. So.
Definitely was a lot of army in the first Transformers film.
Yeah. Now you know
Shia,
why.
and a lot of Shia LaBeouf as well. So
Yeah. The second one is a lot of air shots from what I remember. I can't remember the second one, that one actually.
hello, Martin.
My
Nice
series,
to
yeah.
see you
He's back.
back again. All right, let's watch some trailers. So Thronebreaker, if you don't know, it is the single-player version of Gwent. It's coming to iOS, so you can now play that on your phone, and it's going to cost around £10. So if you're looking for a fun game to play on your mobile, maybe try this. I tried playing the actual Gwent on my phone, but my phone screen was too small. So maybe get it on your iPad or something. If you only have
Yeah.
£10 to spend, though, on one game, I would still probably suggest you get Slay the Spire instead of
Oh
this.
my god.
But if you're in the fortunate position and you have £20, then, my friend, you're in for
That
a
double the money.
treat. Yes, you could
Double
get
the
both.
pride, double the fall.
You could get both the story-driven single-player Gwent game on iOS and Slay the Spire, one of my personal favorite games of all time. So, win-win, really.
What if I bought it on Steam and I streamed it to my phone?
Yes, but you would have to have your computer on, and you wouldn't be able to play it
True.
while you were. I know you're always going outside, Tony, and doing things outside in this climate.
Yeah.
So,
on on public transport. Yeah, damn. You're right, you got me.
yeah, you could look at the trailer for the Switch now, and you could be like, "Yeah, you can do any of this shit right now." Pretty
Yeah.
much. Anyway, the next trailer is for a game that's already out, Halo 3. So when I wrote this, the Halo 3 was coming out, but it came out on Tuesday last week, so about 5 days ago. And I've been playing through it, so maybe we'll see a Tangerine on Halo 3. Maybe not. Depends. Andy said he didn't want
Maybe
it.
not.
Halo Andy said he didn't want to do a Tangerine on Halo 2, so maybe we can get him to do one on Halo 3. I have played through the full
Yeah.
game of Halo 3 now. That's fucking awesome. I'm still deciding whether I prefer Halo 2 or Halo 3's campaign, because I think Halo 2 and Halo 3 are definitely the best Halo games.
You like the Arbiter stuff, right?
The Arbiter's my favourite character.
Yeah,
So,
so I guess two's gonna win. That's my bet anyway.
well, I mean, I have the nostalgia for 3 because it was the first Halo game I played.
Yeah.
And all I can say is Halo Combat Evolved is definitely still the worst Halo game. I know people have a lot of nostalgia goggles for Halo 1, but it's so bad. I hate it. The level design sucks. It has none of the features of the later Halo games. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's a product of its time though. So, but yeah, I think that's the only one that doesn't hold up, but the other ones actually look like you could still play it.
But with Halo 3, we now have 4-player co-op. because Halo 1 and 2 have 2-player, but now Halo 3 has 4-player, Halo ODST has 4-player, and Halo 4 will have 4-player, as well as, Reach
So you're
came out
playing
after 3.
Forge, right?
Yeah, we played Forge as well, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was surprised. I thought it was coming out later.
I think they just did something to Forge with the release of this, or I might be mistaken, but we played on the we played on Halo 3 Forge, and we were like, this is missing so many features. And then we tried the Halo Reach Forge, and there was like a bunch of stuff they've added for the Master Chief Collection. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like, you can build really cool stuff on Forge. So I'd be interested to muck around and build things on Forge, and then maybe go on some custom games and try out some other people's maps they've made on Forge. It's always fun to do. But fun fact!
Halo's map creation.
Fun fact: we went back and were playing some of the 2-player games on co-op yesterday to try and get skulls and stuff. Halo 2 Legendary difficulty has Iron Skull on by default. You can't turn it off. So every time you die on Halo 2 Legendary, you it resets your last checkpoint in co-op. And if you're playing it single player, it resets the entire level every time you die.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Halo 2 co-op may be the hardest Legendary campaign to play. It seems like. Haven't even attempted it on Lasso yet, so we'll have to see. Hopefully we can do Halo 3 Lasso. That's a we did Halo 3 Legendary on Halo 3 campaign and Legendary was pretty easy. We did it in a couple of minutes. Yeah, pretty easily. So I don't think Lasso should be as hard as it would be for something like Halo 2 maybe, or Halo 1.
Right. Yeah.
Playing normal Legendary on Halo 1, we were doing that, and that was a pain in the fucking ass. You are like paper thin in Halo 1. It's terrible. But yeah. Anyway, we got a trailer for Shadow Warrior 3.
We've seen this in a weird way first,
so I'll go into that a bit later. Remember we were talking about the Not E3 conference. There's been 2 other conferences since we've done our roundup on all the Not E3 content. We've had the Ubisoft conference and the Devolver Digital conference. And there will be a spotlight coming out next weekend where we will play through what is called Devolver Land Expo, if you don't know it. I'll show it after this trailer. But Devolver Land Expo is basically a game that exists of you playing around in an abandoned expo center, and you then have to watch trailers to progress through the game. So it's like a conference for Devolver Digital inside a game, and you have like a t-shirt cannon which you fight drones with. There's even a boss fight in it at one point as well. It's pretty cool. So if you want to see the game itself and us reacting to the trailers, make sure to check out our spotlight next Saturday. But Shadow Warrior 3 was one of the ones we shown, but I thought if you're not going to watch our spotlight and you're just watching the podcast, Shadow Warrior 3 was one of the big games, so I thought we'd talk over it quickly. I really love Shadow Warrior 1, and I've never played Shadow Warrior 2. That's some information for you. Me and you both own Shadow Warrior 2. I think I mentioned this on the spotlight.
Yeah.
But we haven't
played one, never completed it.
I've completed one. It's a rare thing for me to complete games these days because I usually start them and never finish them. But I completed one and I loved it throughout. But I heard they kind of changed the game for 2. So 2 is more like a looty shooty co-op experience.
From what I've
whereas
seen,
1 was more like
fun.
So that's Flying Hog Studios, who also were the developers for the Devolver Land game that you can play. That is like the little expo thing. I have watched Devolver Direct. I'd highly recommend watching Devolver Direct because it continues on from the story from last time. And to be honest, it's just really entertaining. You get to watch game trailers. You get to see Nina Struthers going crazy. I mean, what's to love? What's not to love?
She's a real developer / publisher.
Yep. As we said before, Devolver Digital tricked Sony into showing Nina Struthers as a developer. in the Sony press conference, even though she's just an actress. She's not an actual developer. So yeah, Shadow Warrior 3 coming 2021, and of course we had. I don't know if there was anything in the Ubisoft. I looked at like all of the trailers, and I don't think we'll talk about anything because it was all just kind of stuff we've seen before. There wasn't really anything interesting other than Far Cry 6.
There's the what Watch Dogs Legion.
Yeah, I just don't care about that game.
Yeah,
be honest. Do you care about Watch Dogs Legion?
I would say it's slightly more interesting. Okay, I'm gonna wait for it to actually come out because, like, I feel like Watch Dogs always fucks with people, like what they actually promise and what they actually deliver.
Yeah.
But I would say I'm slightly more interested. I'm as interested, well, a little bit less interested than I was when I first heard about the original Watch Dogs. Obviously, then they released a piece of shit.
So we have this amazing trailer from. I love Gustavo Fring, the actor who plays Gustavo Fring in Breaking Bad. So we get to see him. I mean, Far Cry always has like really interesting villains, right? Like everyone knows Zaz from Far Cry 3. Then of course, what was Far Cry 4? Was that the mountain one? Yeah, I never played the game. I played a little bit of Far Cry 3, but Far Cry 4 was like the mountain guy with the blonde hair, and then Far Cry 5 was like the church dude in America who was like running a cult or something. And then I guess Far Cry 6, from what it seems, is some sort of dictator in some sort of war-torn country. That's the vibe I'm getting from the cinematic. I don't think we really saw any gameplay, to my knowledge, but if I'm wrong, please correct me. I'd like to see some Far Cry 6 gameplay.
Yeah.
I
don't know, I feel like after 3 they're kind of like rehashing the same sort of story, so
they found a lot of success when they were like, let's make a really charismatic villain and have him be like the big villain that hangs over you.
Yeah, but you can make it one thing change it.
The thing was, the villain made the boring going around and collecting towers and stuff really interesting. I know, like, our friend of the podcast, Vietnam Dave, he was replaying through Far Cry 2 recently, and he loves that game. He was like, but I personally, like, I played Far Cry 2 and I hated that game. Like, it's brutal.
Yeah.
Like, there's specific save points. You constantly have to get malaria medication. Like, there's tons of everything's trying to you can't go on the roads because there's constantly AI spawning that come in and shoot you and kill you. It's like,
don't you jump off a tiny little ledge, like you like break your legs and like you're like bleeding for like the rest of the game?
I don't know. The only interesting thing for me about Far Cry 2, I think, is it has like 50 different animations for healing yourself. So sometimes you like push a bullet out, sometimes you like cauterize the wound, sometimes you put like bandages on. Like that's an interesting thing about Far Cry 2. But I think Far Cry 2 is a game of its time, and I didn't like it.
I would say 3 is way better.
Yeah, I didn't like Far Cry 2 at the time, so I mean,
yeah.
But anyway, yeah, that was one of the big announcements from Far Cry 6. If we have time at the end, I'll go maybe look at some other trailers. But honestly, I think Ubisoft just wasn't interested in this. They basically had they were like, let's have our own conference like a month after everybody else, and everyone's like, yeah, we don't care. Pretty much, there just wasn't anything. I think there was just like they showed off like some trial stuff. There was some Rainbow Six Siege stuff, but I think Ubisoft is just going to run live services at this point, so there's not going to be any real big new releases other than sequels. That seems to be
they're trying to be the shittiest company right now.
Oh, Ubisoft.
In many different ways.
Well, let's talk about an actual interesting trailer for a good game. No Man's Sky is getting another update. I feel like we're always talking about these cool new updates for No Man's Sky. Have you seen No Man's Sky Desolation? Have you seen about this?
No, not until today.
So what this is going to do is it's going to turn No Man's Sky a little bit like Dead Space. So what's going to happen is you're going to have to scavenge into these haunted wreckages, and they're just going to be full of procedurally generated layouts and content. And there's also going to be like some aliens, some like It's going to be very like the film Alien kind of thing, where there's infestations of like that sort of stuff in there. So that's going to be
what
really
are the
cool.
aliens from Dead Space called?
I've never played Dead Space.
Oh, okay.
It's Xenomorph and Alien.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe somebody knows. I don't know.
I think Google might know. Hang on.
Tony, can we get a quick Google on there?
Oh, okay. This is what necromorphs.
Necromorphs. Okay. I do want to play Dead Space at one point because it's quite a good game.
I played the first game. Yeah, it's a great game.
I mean, I've been playing more. I've been playing more games. I think I'm playing Alien Isolation next. I think that's the spooky spaceship game. No, I haven't finished Dishonored 2 yet.
Oh, okay.
I need to finish Dishonored 2, and then I said I was going to play. Well, the thing is, if I really enjoyed Dishonored 2, I was going to go on and play Dishonored: Death of the Outsider.
Yeah.
But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish my Ghost Never Seen run on Dishonored 2 with the non-lethal Dishonored 2 run, and then I'm going to play Death of the Outsider, and then I'm just going to go fun powers. I don't care if I'm just going to play the game for fun, because I feel like playing Dishonored 2 Ghost and full stealth, never kill anyone is good for like a second run, but playing it blind on your first playthrough is just really slow, and it makes me not like want to launch the game a lot of the time. So but here's the patch notes. So there's derelict fighters you can find. They have procedurally generated interiors. There's atmospheric dangers inside of them. So there's stuff like drones. There's stuff like sentry turrets that can shoot you. There's laser beams, scanners. There's infestations of alien bugs. And there's this weird like green jellyfish thing as well. There's also procedural stories. So each fighter actually has a unique story to tell you. And you can uncover hints about each of the crew members' fates, like how they died and that sort of stuff. Through like captain's logs, captain's log, crew manifests, security stuff. There's also improved bloom effects. Tony, you're getting what everyone was asking for. Improved lens flares.
Lens flares and bloom.
Improved lens flares are coming to No Man's Sky finally.
I like the before and after of these. I'm like, what am I don't see much difference.
You see a big difference on the space one, I think. Where you actually see the big rainbow field. If you don't know, lens flares can only be seen by cameras. So having lens flares on in a first-person game doesn't really make sense to be seen through your eyes, unless you're looking through a display. I guess maybe it makes sense in No Man's Sky if you're looking through a display. Yeah, that's what I would say, where it makes sense. I'm
not going to really put too much thought into it. It's kind of just an aesthetic thing. I don't really care about do your eyes actually see it or not. Like, I feel like if you go onto that, you've like removed tons of good stuff from games. So it's just that lens flares are like, take it or leave it.
They're adding
Bloom, I really like Bloom. I think Bloom's like overdone, and like the problem with Bloom is, it has a bad rap because like some games do it horribly.
Quickly mention, you're talking about the lighting Bloom, because I was having a conversation with someone yesterday, and I said, I like Bloom, and they were like, "What, you like Bloom?" Because if you don't, when you in some game models they have what's called Bloom, where your bullets are accurate, but sometimes they make bullets randomly miss, and that's called Bloom. Just to make sure the distinction. Yeah.
Right, I think by default Bloom is some of the lighting though, but okay. But yeah, it's just I think it looks really cool if you do it right, but it can look really like washed out and like overly white if you do it wrong. So I think this one looks pretty good.
I feel like good Bloom, you shouldn't notice it too much.
Yeah.
And then bad Bloom is like those fucking Skyrim EMB shaders where everything's like twice as bright and it's like horribly garish, and I'm like,
there's a lot of really bad Skyrim shaders, unfortunately, but then there's like good ones. I think all shaders have.
It's like the cinematic mod for Half-Life 2. They just completely wrecked the atmosphere of that game. So apparently you can also anything you salvage will be a personalized upgrade for your derelict fighters. from these derelict fighters you can use to upgrade your freighter and make it reflect the history of the ships that you've scavenged. So there is new freighter inventory upgrades that are being added as well, as well as customization.
Adding more stuff to the late game.
Yep, it's really cool.
Yeah.
This update kind of reminds me of Subnautica. This is the sort of stuff you do in Subnautica. You would find derelict ships, you go inside, you explore them, and then you get a new piece of technology. So, No Man's Sky Subnautica in space confirmed. Perhaps?
I'd actually love an underwater update to No Man's Sky though.
Well, can you? You can go underwater in No Man's Sky, can't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like underwater is always like one of the most interesting things in video games.
Yeah, I actually really love underwater stuff.
Mm.
I know Wrestling Matt doesn't believe me, like he thinks I'm just trolling him, but I legitimately really like underwater content.
Yeah, same. I think it's really cool as well.
But going back to No Man's Sky though, I would say like I kind of wish their updates added more stuff, like more diverse stuff to planets. Like each planet was more diverse instead of like other stuff. But these are cool stuff, so I'm not going to complain too much. I'm just like they're not really fixing the problems I had with No Man's Sky from the start. They fixed some things.
We still haven't done our spotlight of No Man's Sky.
Yeah, because at the start's really annoying still.
Okay. Well, so you can now put teleporters on freighters. That's going to allow you to directly teleport between your base and your freighter, which is going to make it a lot easier. They are overdoing combat mechanics to be more fast-paced and more dynamic. This should make the game feel a bit more fun. And there's now player titles. I think that's about new Nexus missions. Yeah, that's about it. So yeah, No Man's Sky update. The new Desolation update looks really cool.
What's this? Wait, summoning the space normal while in pulse rifle now correctly disengage.
Are you reading the actual patch notes?
Yeah, I just looked at random
I can't
thing.
tell you
what the
anything
hell
about the actual patch notes because
what's the space anomaly?
Do you want to go into the quick news, Tony? So
yeah,
we can,
let's get on.
Quick news. Big news. So guys, we did it. We finally found the seed for Minecraft's original title screen. So if you don't know, in 2011, in the Minecraft beta 1.8, until 1.13, the aquatic update, we had this exact image rotating. And it was called Panorama because it was rotating around this image. And we didn't know what the seed was for this exact image. It was like, obviously you can see a place in Minecraft, so there should be a seed where this area spawns. And an effort in 2014 started, and finally we have the seed for the original Minecraft Panorama background. Huge news, guys. We did it. It's done. You can now go and visit the original Minecraft background. I just thought it'd be a fun little piece of news. But yeah. You need version beta 1.7.3. The seed is on Reddit. And it shows you the coordinates of where they happen. And huge credit to the people who found this. Good work, guys.
Yeah. Apparently had like weird servers to generate the seeds for them to help them find it. Interesting.
Well, I thought it'd be forgotten because not many people play on the old beta versions of Minecraft these days anymore, do they?
But you can always go and load them up there.
You can always go and play Minecraft Classic, which they haven't given me any up. They said we were going to fix the multiplayer in Minecraft Classic like last year. Around, like
I can't even
it's been over a year.
I can't even load it anymore.
And I still can't play Minecraft Classic multiplayer. And they've never given us an update on it. So maybe Minecraft Classic and your browser is dead. So, yeah.
Well, I can't even load it normally, let alone like join yours or look at yours. So I think it might be it's just fucked.
Okay, quick news. Microsoft has expressed interest in the Warner Bros. Gaming unit. So AT&T owns the Warner Bros. Gaming division. If you don't know, they're known for publishing the Batman Arkham series, the Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor series, many of the Lego games, the Harry Potter series. their biggest game, I would say, is Mortal Kombat, and they also helped CG Projekt Red with I think it was the physical publishing of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Microsoft seems to just want to acquire lots of studios these days. They just keep looking.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've had like huge studios go to Microsoft now, like Double Fine.
Do you think it's like
emulate stuff like that?
Sony's success? Like they have like a lot of developers
In-house
that produce like
publishers.
first-party games.
Yeah.
Because like Microsoft didn't really have anyone, and they got rid of everyone like a long time ago. So
yeah, so it seems like Xbox wants to make more Xbox exclusives, and that's why they're putting so many much effort into acquiring more developers, because this it's not just publishing. The unit consists of game development studios in the US, Canada, and the UK as well. So they do have a development team as well. So if this deal were to go through, Microsoft would be able to acquire those development teams and bring them in house as well. Because I think it's fair to say, when it comes to the consoles, Sony has all the exclusives and Xbox doesn't really have any.
Yeah,
if at all. I mean, because I think Microsoft understands that any of their exclusives, I think, let me think, the Master Chief Collection, I guess, is a big one.
Yeah, that's true.
Because they understand that anyone that owns a PC probably isn't going to buy a console anyway, so they can release their games on Xbox and PC, and that way it stays exclusive to the Microsoft platform anyway.
Yeah, I think Sony's kind of like copying that as well. Because we're only competing with other consoles, not really with PCs. So might as well.
So what they're trying to do is get more console exclusives that they can also release on the PC platform, which won't matter to PS4 owners because they own a PS4, not a
it's like a win-win for them. Like they get the advantage on the console and they sell it again on PC.
Anyway, that was an interesting read. Halo is getting it has a new battle pass now where you can get skins for your vehicles. So with every season they've been so these are all unlocked in game. There's no some people look at this and go, microtransactions. No microtransactions. This is all unlocked by playing the game, and they're optional. You can turn them off. So what they're doing now is they're adding these. Well, I think they've had these challenges for a while. You acquire these. It's like a battle pass sort of thing that's always there. You don't have to pay for it. And what you do is you level up and you unlock tiers by completing these challenges and getting this currency. And you can get cool stuff like a flaming warthog skin for Combat Evolved. So what they did, the first season had stuff for Reach, because that was the first game that came out. The second game now has weapon skins and vehicle skins for Combat Evolved. And then I guess by the time ODST comes out, the next Battle Pass will probably be Halo 2 skins and stuff. So basically, I'm saving all my points for Halo 2 and Halo 3 because I don't really care about the customization in Halo Reach and Halo Combat Evolved. So, but if you want to have this cool multiplayer skin stuff for Combat Evolved, and that's a multiplayer game you play a lot, then check this out. It's pretty cool, and it's free and it's optional. So anyone who was raising their pitchfork, ready to be angry at this, it's free and it's optional.
Yeah. This is like the actual free and optional, not like we put in it's only cosmetic arguments. Like actually good. Unlocked in game. Always good.
So GTA 5 VR has been confirmed, or as Tony would like to call it. Go on.
GTA VR or GTA 5R? Is it like
V is the Roman numeral for 5, and we already have GTA 5 with the Roman numeral 5, so we could just call it GTA VR. And people would guess that you're talking about 5. But it seems like there's a new Rockstar game in the works, a new Rockstar VR game in the works. And Upload VR was saying it was due to a job listing. People found out that Rockstar were looking to make a new VR game. I know we have LA Noire VR at the moment. That's a quite popular one.
Oh, yeah.
And people were speculating which game would they port to VR, and I was like, it would be so funny if they fucking ported GTA 5 again to VR. Like, we've had so many versions of GTA 5. Like we talked about before, we're getting GTA 5 again on the fucking PS5 and probably the next generation consoles, like the Xbox X as well. So it would be pretty funny if they do port GTA 5 to VR, they're getting to Skyrim levels of GTA.
Yeah, there's a comment. There's a comment here that's just like Rockstar's going full Skyrim on GTA 5, so our guess is GTA 5.
Well, I believe Skyrim has a VR port and they have a Switch port as well.
Yeah.
Could you get GTA 5 to run on the Switch? It doesn't exist, right?
I don't think so.
No, I don't think it does. You can play LA Noire on the Switch, but they don't have GTA 5 on the Switch. Okay. So, guys, next Nintendo Direct, watch out for GTA 5 on the Switch, because that one will be coming next.
Wait, someone installed Linux onto Switch and streamed it from their
that
PC.
Doesn't count.
That doesn't count. Okay.
Realistically, if they were actually going to make another VR game, I would like Red Dead Redemption VR. I think would be quite
good.
Or maybe even if they just added VR support to one of their older titles like San Andreas, GTA 3, Vice City, GTA 4, that would be really cool.
It'd be really weird though, wouldn't it?
Nintendo has stopped digital download codes for its games through Europe, now only available through the eShop. So before, European retailers were allowed to sell digital download codes for Nintendo Switch games. But now you can, if you want a digital download of a Switch game, you have to get it from the eShop.
Right.
I don't really know why this was happening, but it's.
Are they getting bigger cuts this way around instead of having it being able to be like a store purchased?
I think what was happening was a lot of people weren't using the what's it called, the eShop for Nintendo Switch because third-party retailers were selling it so much cheaper than the eShop, because I think the eShop's quite expensive. So basically the third-party retailers were like undercutting.
It's where they bought the keys from from Nintendo. So that's fine.
But I think Nintendo's, as I've said in the past, Nintendo's very slow. They're actually slowly realizing they don't actually need retailers to sell their digital keys.
Yeah.
Because in the past, you remember how everyone was like, "What's Steam? What's these third-party online things? We have to keep pumping out physical copies of games," which, of course, the Switch still does.
Yeah.
Because Nintendo's like years behind everyone. I mean,
their shop is so bad.
Even recently, like the Xbox One that was digital only, it didn't come with a disc drive that they were making. I don't know if you remember that. They've stopped production of that now. I do remember. So that was either because not enough people were buying a digital only Xbox, or just because I think the Xbox One X is coming out, so people are going to be getting the next generation Xbox anyway. Which I think both of the consoles are going to have disc drives still. So there's that.
They both do. I think they definitely. I definitely PS5. I think Xbox Series X also has at the bottom as well.
Because speaking of still having a disc drive, there's going to be a retail version of Microsoft Flight Simulator, a physical version of it, and it's going to contain 10 double-layer DVDs to get that offline Microsoft Flight Simulator installed onto your offline rig for your flight simulating. That seems insane to me. 10 double-sided DVDs. So apparently...
Wait.
Yeah?
Sorry, I was saying, Xbox Series X is going to be a disc drive with Blu-ray, which HDR10 support with Dolby Vision. So...
Okay.
Update that.
So if you want the physical edition, it seems you're getting the offline version, as apparently the online version of Microsoft Flight Simulator is going to be streamed from Bing Maps.
Thank God.
That's like their big thing.
Bing Maps.
Well, it saves like a lot of space, and it shows you the real world as it exists on a map. I think the idea of flight simulation these days is a lot of the serious rig guys like the very realistic stuff. That's sort of stuff they like. But apparently, if you downloaded the alpha for Microsoft Flight Simulator, it was like 100 gigabytes. So that's how much must be on these. Like these double-layered DVDs must be carrying a lot of data.
Wait, how many discs is it?
10 double-layered.
10?
So it's kind of like it's kind of like 20 discs because they're double-layered.
Yeah. It's like double.
Wait, let's see how much.
Hey, he's a Blu-ray drive at this point.
Can a DVD hold? 4.7 gigabytes.
Is that
for a single layered disc and 8.5 for a dual layered? Okay. So that's going to hold about 85 gigabytes of data, the dual layered ones.
Yeah.
But that might just be the standard DVD format.
Right. They should use Blu-ray.
Yeah, I don't. That's probably way more expensive. I don't know.
That's fine, but 10 discs or Blu-ray, I'd take Blu-ray. You can store up to 200 gigabytes on a Blu-ray.
On a single Blu-ray?
Yep.
Just make a single Bluray flight simulator.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing?
This is why, I think Blu-rays are fantastic. Like, legitimately. I really like Blu-rays.
Probably storing it on 10 DVDs is probably cheaper than making one. DVDs must be dirt cheap right now. Like, there's even some companies now that store their information on tapes. Because it's so much cheaper and easier to store like large quantities of information on tapes than it is.
Yeah, the thing with tapes though, it's an archiving platform. It's not like a quick access thing. So it's always been cheaper.
But I think for this per space, you're just putting the discs onto your computer. This is just for the install. That's always kind of. You're not gonna need to be like.
I'm gonna have to string textures.
You're not gonna be flying your plane, right? And then suddenly you look out the window and the world stops spawning, and you're like, "Hang on a minute!" You press your CD drive, you flip the disc over, you put it back in, and then the world suddenly starts like loading in again.
Yeah, I would say though, on the PS4, I don't know if you remember this. When GTA 5 came out, there were two versions you could get. Digital only one and the disc version.
All right.
The digital only one was worse than the disc one because the disc one you could stream from the hard drive and the disc at the same time to load assets.
That's pretty cool.
So there's you basically have two hard drives you could run at once if you do it properly. Obviously one is just a DVD and not as good as a hard drive, but you can stream two sets of data if you do it correctly. But do you really want your disk drives to always be splitting to load assets, I guess, is the real question?
Not like... I feel like disk drives, in my opinion, are kind of a dying technology.
Yeah, with SSDs, like, you don't need that technology. You can move SSD.
We're seeing, like... Especially the PS5 is pushing the SSD technology very fast.
They're really pushing it. That's really cool. I hope that gets. Well, I hope the technology they produce with PS5, like another company copies for the PC, because like some of that is really
because
cool
like some of the stuff they were showing was, because the PS5 would have baseline SSD, so everybody playing the games would have the SSD. You could set it up so, because of the SSD loads information so fast, you could stop rendering the information of people that was behind them to save more performance, and then when they turned. It could load it so quickly. It could load it in real time, the environment sort of thing.
What was more impressive was that like Sony were actually because the NAND flash the NAND chips could always kind of do this, but it's kind of the controllers that have been laying it down on like lower end SSDs and things. So like the fact that it's like so cheap and you put into a PS5 and they get these really good controllers to actually stream it and like do this like just turning around and streaming textures that weren't loaded in before is really cool.
Yeah. So next, Denuvo is going to be removed from the Steam version of Prey 2017. It was planned to happen a couple of days ago to remove Denuvo, but apparently people were getting a 16 gigabyte update instead of a 4 gigabyte update to remove de novo. So they've rolled back the update. Try and fix this issue. But once this update comes out, Prey will no longer have de novo. So
thank God. Wait, do I own Prey?
I don't know, but I do. I can tell you that much.
I feel like I own Prey then. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Wasn't like in a bundle or something, like a sale.
We did a spotlight on the Prey demo.
Yeah.
I'm interested to play it. I was saying like earlier, I was playing through Arcane Games. I was planning on playing through Prey as one of my next games. So interesting to see. Death Stranding is released on Steam. The reason I mention this is a big Kojima game that was the PS4 exclusive, now coming to PC. One of the more interesting things is it on the PC version we have ultra wide support. I think didn't they show off they showed off like the head crab hat that you could get on Death Stranding PC? Yeah, we talked about that.
I know, I want to see it though. I don't remember looking at it properly. Show me the stupid hat.
This thing. The PC release will have like head crabs and stuff and gravity gloves.
Oh my God. Oh, it's got like a yeah.
You can see Norman Reedus. Wasn't it Norman Reedus? I don't know. The guy from The Walking Dead. Yeah. I don't know. I had like pretty bad things about Death Stranding, like mixed things at best. Like it's very much like a walking simulator. There's more like an advertisement for Monster and an advertisement for Norman Reedus' next film than it is like an actual game.
The concept and the world is really cool, but like that doesn't save the game if like interacting with the world is so boring. I was going to say another PS4 exclusive that'll be on PC next in August. I think the 14th of August is Horizon Zero Dawn.
Horizon Zero Dawn. Yeah, looks like a cool game.
One
thing I wanted to mention about this is Kojima. I think Kojima said something along the line of, it was like a on PS4 it was like a TV show, but like now it's on PC it's like a film because of the aspect ratio. You can have like the ultra wide and you can see more sort of thing. That was like some of the crazy shit he was saying.
Yeah, Kojima knows what a game is. He swears.
But also the reason I mention this is because it has a really, really good DLSS 2.0 implementation. If you
he's an engine guy, Kojima, right? Like he knows his stuff.
Yeah, this was made in the Gorilla engine, I think. I believe.
I think you're right.
But yeah, DLSS 2.0 is really cool. And if you like that sort of stuff, watch the Digital Foundry video about the Death Stranding PC port. Because this game implements it and uses it really well, especially when you're playing on the high resolutions like 4K and 40.
It's called Gorilla's Decima engine, or Decima game engine. Okay.
It's the developers are called like Guerrilla Games or something like that.
Same type behind Horizon Zero Dawn. Interesting.
Yeah, he went to them and borrowed their engine to make
fixed it and made it better.
Yeah, that was the story.
I remember that story.
Speaking of that, Valve has also released a beta version of Proton that gets DirectX 12 running on Linux. So this means Death Stranding is now playable on Linux.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Distro, provided your Nvidia or AMD card drivers are up to date. De novo has actually worked on Linux before, but I believe with this driver now, it makes it a lot easier to play Death Stranding, which is a DirectX 12 game. So that's cool for any of you Linux people out there. I know the one person who owns Linux and wants to play Death Stranding is very happy now.
Well, there's apparently like more people getting into Linux because of how easy it is to set up.
Yeah, but I think it'd be disingenuous to say that there's enough.
There's not
I think according to like Steam hardware surveys, they represent like less than 1% of Steam users. So.
But there's still more than there once was.
Yeah, I think that's fair, and I think it's better to be honest. I think always pushing the technology is cool, and always seeing that the technology is easier to use and better to use is always cool.
Yeah, we could get more like console like PCs in the future if it comes like easier to implement. I
Did
think.
you see that Linus Tech Tips videos of Linus building the other Linus's
Yeah, I did.
Linux PC?
Linus building Linus's PC. Yeah,
Yeah, the person who owns control of the
Linux
kernel
branch. Yeah,
of the main Linux system.
yeah.
So yeah, if you're interested in that sort of stuff, check that out.
And he doesn't write his own code anymore. He just like writes or combines other people's codes.
Yeah, he has that. He's like the compiler level. So
Yeah,
if somebody else wants to add something to it, it has to go through him first, sort of thing, to make sure it's good code.
Yeah, for the main code, like you can add it yourself to your own system if you want, but if you want to add it to the main code,
branch, yeah,
it has to go through him basically. Yeah,
look at us.
it's really cool.
Two Microsoft heads talking about Linux.
I've done Linux stuff though. I run CentOS 7 at work, so that's a more stable distribution.
Next up, I thought this would be a nice little piece of news. There's now 12K camera. Blackmagic are very famous for doing kind of more budgeted high resolution cameras, but still very expensive because they're high resolution cameras. I think Blackmagic, that's kind of their niche, where they middle market, maybe not budget, but maybe more like not super fucking expensive. Maybe more like what's it called when you're in the middle? No, you don't.
The middle ground.
Blanking. Okay.
Know.
But anyway, I thought it was interesting. We now have the world's most advanced digital film camera. If you 12K resolution, which would give you a resolution of 12,288 times 6,480.
Yeah, that by the way, that's at 60 frames per second as well. That's not like only at 30 frames. That's like that's like 12K at 60. That's crazy. 4K at 220 FPS. That's
now,
crazy.
The real question is, Tony, when are you getting a 12,288 times 6,480 12K monitor so you can watch these 12K videos?
I think, so from what I understand, from like a little bit of something from a Linus video that I watched like a year ago and like something else I watched more recently, I think the idea is that you can downscale it and in Linus' setup, they record in 8K, then put it down to 4K so they can like zoom in and like move the screen around without losing any fidelity. So I think that's like the idea behind
Andy
it.
has said, perfect for my multi 4K monitor setup, and then Martin says 12K porn ink. You know, that's what we're all hoping for, right?
Yeah.
When you can zoom in on that freckle on the cheek and be like, yeah, I can see that. That's the dream, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like how they're pushing it VR, high resolution video.
I will say,
especially when you have like a 360 kind of view.
Yeah, I'm actually more interested in like the frames per second. Like I think it's really cool that at 4K and 8K you can like get like over 100 FPS. Actually
I feel like people are only just getting into 4K TVs and even 1440p 4K gaming monitors. So
what resolution are cinema screens though?
I think Mark A.S. Brownlee was talking about this camera. He said it's definitely like the first kind of like big 12K camera, but it definitely doesn't have some of the features that the big cameras have, sort of thing. Like he was saying like it's not just all about pure resolution, sort of thing.
Yeah.
If you're interested, you can look up Mark A.S. Brownlee because I know he loves Fortnite.
It's also the thing, It's also the thing like adding more sensors might technically give you more resolution, but again, I think it is more like fidelity and like how much detail you can.
And he says Martin knows what up. That's what drives it. It's true. Video gaming and porn, they drive technology.
Yeah, it's true.
There's a reason the most powerful gaming graphics card in the world is used for training AI. Well, okay, but that as well. I wasn't going for that. Okay.
Oh my god, uncompressed. Don't. It's too massive. It's too big. Uncompressed. Jesus Christ, it goes off the graph.
Oh yeah, we were figuring out how big
It's huge. Huge.
The
2 gigabytes a second.
So every second you record on a 12K camera is going to be 2 gigabytes. So we're
2.8 gigabytes.
already running out. We're already running out of storage. We're already running out of cloud storage. So good luck filming on a 12K camera unless you're fucking Disney.
This has to be stored in SSD. Like how quick this is. This is 2.8 gigabytes a second. This is like SSD level. This is crazy. Jesus Christ.
I always thought it was strange when like you had like the 4K screen, but it was on like a phone.
Yeah.
Like imagine you have like the new iPhone comes out and it's got like a 12K display, but it's like this size, and I could watch a 480p video and it would look exactly the same to me because of the size of the screen. Like,
well,
actually watching a 12K monitor, it's gonna have to be massive. It's gonna have to be like I don't know.
I was gonna say even like on a laptop screen,
it would probably have to be like 200 inch to even see the quality difference.
But I was like not even like phone level. Like on a laptop screen, there's no point really going above 1080p until you get to 17 inch. So I'd rather have FPS on refresh rate on a
cinema screen. I think IMAX uses like some weird technology to do that, but it's not like real high resolution.
Apparently, it's only technically 4K, but they do some weird stuff to make it not 4K. So I don't really understand the technology, so I can't really like.
I don't understand how IMAX works, so if somebody does, let me know.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Monster Train is getting a wild mutations update. Sorry. That will expand the game experience and add new challenges for all players. No, mutations.
Is that like munitions you find in the wilds?
If you don't know, Monster Train is kind of like Slay the Spire, but it has like lanes on a train, and it's pretty interesting. I haven't played it yet. I really want to play it. It looks really fun. It looks like a game I would spend 200 hours on. So yeah, definitely. If you don't know about Monster Train yet, check out Monster Train, especially if you're a fan of Slay the Spire like me, because it looks really interesting. Amazon's getting new smart shopping carts that let you skip the checkout line. So, do you remember when Linus went to that Amazon Go store?
Yeah, like a test pilot store. Yeah, I remember that. The tampon video.
Yeah, where he didn't know that there was it sanitary towels and he called them tampons.
Yeah, he got like a flag for like, I don't even know what the flag was for. Like, he just didn't know. Like, why would he know?
Okay, Andy wants me to show him the outro video at the end, so we'll watch that when we finish. So the dash cart, what it does is the cart itself is full of sensors and a weighing scale and cameras. So every time you put something in your cart, it then gets scanned, and then goes straight to your. I think from what it said, you had to sign into your Amazon account when you first walked into the store.
Yes.
So you will need to scan a code connecting the cart to your Amazon account. But once you've connected it, it's completely wireless. No.
Yeah.
So the store was using the cameras above, but the problem with that is you had to go to a specific store. I think it was in Seattle to use it. But the idea with this is you could sell out the carts to businesses, and they could use the technology themselves to scan the items, sort of thing.
Like Walmart could buy this, and then they would have this a possibility.
The thing is, Amazon purchased Whole Foods, which is like a huge, huge food business in the US.
Yeah.
So basically, it's like an Amazon Go store, but on wheels. You don't need the physical store with the cameras. You can just have this cart.
Is this kind of like going from like VR with base sessions to like inside out tracking sort of thing? Like,
it's very much like the Vive to the Oculus Quest sort of thing. Yeah, interesting. I'd be interested to try one of these out. They look pretty cool. Yeah.
I already like use like the automated like scanning yourself. Like if I could like not interact with anyone, that'd be great.
So Jeff Keighley just released. Okay, that comment doesn't exist anymore. Okay, anyway, Jeff Keighley just released his After Hours for Half-Life Alyx, and basically what we got revealed was that we saw the entire timeline for Half-Life Alex's development, and also all the other projects that Valve cancelled in between. So I'll go through a few of them because some of them are pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Andy said, "I can't wait for carts to start shouting suspicious item in the cart area." Have you ever been to the self checkouts at Tesco's? Like, suspicious item in the basket area. Yeah.
Yeah, you just have to like reset it like over and over again. No, it's fine. I swear.
Okay, so we'll go over the timeline of some of the projects that got cancelled during Half-Life Alyx's development. So they were actually working on a Half-Life 3. It would have been created in the Source engine during gameplay inspiration from Left 4 Dead. The project known as Half-Life 3 would be using procedural generation between handcrafted story moments to create a more replayable game. So that would definitely be more similar to how Left 4 Dead works, where the zombie spawns and stuff is more procedurally generated, so it's better for replayability. For instance, the game would generate a building and an objective, such as rescuing a prisoner, and then create a route through it and fill the building with enemies, meaning the section would always play out differently. The team went as far as scanning Frank Sheldon, the actors whose likeness was used for G-Man. However, the Source 2 engine was unfinished and the project didn't get very far before it was dropped. It was in development for about a year between 2013 and 2014. We then have Left 4 Dead 3 they were working on, an open world game set in Morocco and potentially featuring hundreds of zombies at a time. So that kind of seems like World War Z to me now. Like, I've played World War Z, and when I was playing World War Z, I was like, this is kind of how I'd imagine a new Left 4 Dead game would look like. But it was deemed unworkable because of the unfinished Source 2 code.
Yeah.
Next, we have RPG, which is a project simply called RPG that drew inspiration from the likes of The Elder Scrolls, Dark Souls, Monster Hunter. If you don't know, Valve already tried to make an RPG years ago and scrapped it and never finished it. After RPG was abandoned, experiments went into turning it. Never really left the conceptual stage. They tried to make a single-player RPG based on the Dota character Axe, which was also shelved. Valve, please stop trying to turn everything into a Dota game. We don't need more Dota games. I hate Dota. Please stop making Dota games.
Yeah.
Also, Arty, a light-hearted voxel-based game. I believe this is the one they spent the most time on. That was allowed for open-ended destruction and creation in the vein of Minecraft. That's right, Valve was making Polygon Minecraft. One version included Half-Life 2 and Portal writer Eric Wolfpaar voicing a character called King Kevin, who had to be broken out of prison using the game's tools. And then Arty, of course, was later resurrected as a VR game, but was shelved as Half-Life Alyx grew because they wanted to focus on one VR game. I've got some screenshots here that are from After Hours Alyx. So this is what Arty would have looked like. So when Valve were uncertain about the Source 2 engine because so many of their game projects had to be shelved because Source 2 wasn't working how they wanted to make, they made this other Polygon engine and went, well, we'll try and build some games in a new, easier to use Polygon engine and see how that works out instead. They've worked on this since 2013 all the way up to 2017 until Artifact was released.
Damn it, Artifact!
So you know how I said Valve was working on 3 VR games? So you know one of them was Alyx. This was one of them. This was Arty. And there was a third one called Simtrek, which was actually made by the team behind Kerbal Space Program, which was going to be a VR game made by those guys.
Oh, yeah.
So here's some screenshots of what the game would have looked like. It looks really interesting. I would have loved to play it. Maybe they'll unshelf it at some point. Simtrek, we talked about. Shooter was a Half-Life themed VR shooter that would have been part of the lab. Valve's VR showcase, only using Half-Life 2 assets. It would have taken part in short gunfights and was designed more like a Half-Life theme park ride than a story. However, it was deemed not ready for the lab in time for the lab's release. Borealis was basically a full-scale Half-Life VR project led by Mark Laidlaw that would have been set on the time-traveling ship mentioned in Half-Life 2. skipping between the Half-Life series 7-hour war and a time period shortly after Half-Life 2 Episode 2. No gameplay details were revealed, aside from the fact it included a fishing minigame. Apparently, Half-Life 3 VR was going to have a fishing minigame. That's the important piece of information we needed. Everyone's favourite project Hot Dog was another take on Left 4 Dead, purposely codenamed so that people on the internet wouldn't know it was a Left 4 Dead game, but no other details on this were revealed. Vader was Valve's first internal attempt to create a VR headset. Vader was designed without compromise, but was later scrapped when it became clear it was too ambitious. The team estimated it would have cost $5,000 per unit if they released the Vader VR headset. Half-Life Alyx was initially conceived to launch alongside Vader.
What, doesn't Vader mean father in German or something?
So, if you want to know more and you want to play around with some Half-Life Alyx access, you can actually buy Half-Life Alyx After Hours. It's available on Steam to purchase. So he worked on this for a long time, and it's got tons and tons of behind-the-scenes footage, tons of in-game stuff you never would have seen and you can connect with. There's a Headcrab sound mixer, tons of stuff. Really cool if you're a Valve fan. It cost around £7. So I will definitely check that out at some point. Probably pick it up on a sale, or after I've played Half-Life Alyx. Fingers crossed. Half-Life Alyx Final Hours.
Final Hours, yeah.
If you don't know, Jeff Keighley did a Final Hours series on the original Half-Life, and it was very successful. People really loved his After Hours series, Final Hours series, where he went and looked at the development of a game when it was about to be shipped and everything that went into that. So yeah, this looks really cool. And apparently, after Half-Life Alyx, a lot of Valve employees have said that they now want to work on non-VR games. It seems like Valve, after they've done this really cool VR project, they want to go back to trying to make non-VR games, and a lot of Valve employees want to build a full-scale non-VR Half-Life game. So hopefully that will be Half-Life 3. Who knows? We'll probably hear in about 10 years why this was cancelled through Jeff Keighley once they release Dota Axe, the RPG.
Half-Life Dota.
Yeah. But anyway.
Wait, what's like the big thing right now? Would it not be like a Half-Life Royale?
Oh, you're talking about what would be the big trend that Valve would try and make?
Yeah, when they cancel it.
Yeah. Dota. I think there might. Dota has custom games, so Dota.
No, it'd be in what the city's called in Half-Life? They're like
City 17 and stuff.
Yeah, like City 17 would be like the first map. Half-Life Royale.
Yeah.
Battle for 17.
The last game they made was Dota Underlords. Was the last game, because they did make the Dota. They did do the Dota auto chess. They followed that trend. So it's not unbelievable that Dota Battle Royale with cheese could exist, as Andy put it.
Why not Half-Life Royale though?
Because they know that Dota, they're always more experimental with Dota, because they know how big an impact Half-Life has, and how hungry fans are for a new Half-Life game. Where they thought they were sticking their neck out when they made a VR only You should have seen some of the backlash they got when they said, "Hey, it's a prequel to Half-Life, and it's going to be in VR only," sort of thing. Like, people were pissed off they didn't make Half-Life 3. So imagine they were like, "Hey, here's the next Half-Life game in 5 years. By the way, it's a battle royale game." People would be really upset, I think.
Yeah, but if you just if you said they were working on another game, and I think the problem is that they didn't make a game for so long. They're like, then the first game is then.
They made Artifact, Tony. They made Dota Underlords. Those are games that exist
that no one cares about.
Okay. Yeah. Steam Labs is celebrating 1 year of experimentations. So they've decided that they are going to either ship some of the experiments to be fully fledged tools on Steam. They're either going to shelve experiments to not work on them because they didn't get the feedback or they weren't as useful as they thought they were, or they will be experiments in progress, so stuff that they're going to continue working on and see if they can make better. And he said Warcraft 3 is an RTS, then World of Warcraft is a MOBA. It's possible to switch on a World of Warcraft is a MOBA. What?
He means MMO.
You mean MMO?
He mistyped.
I don't know what you're saying, Andy. If you don't know, Andy, Warcraft 3 invented the MOBA genre, if that's what you were trying to say, through custom games. And he's drunk, okay.
Or French.
Yeah. So Andy's saying Warcraft 3 went to a RTS game. The Warcraft series went from an RTS game to having custom games like inventing tower defense and MOBAs, and then they went and made an MMO as well. So it is possible. I mean, Blizzard's not an example of a company you want to be using right now because they're not doing too hot.
No, I think we should copy Ubisoft instead. They're doing great.
So I'll quickly go through these because I think we're running out of time. Community recommendations. So this was today, launches right out of Steam Labs. It showcases your reviews by featuring them right on the homepage for everyone else to see. Take a quick look at that. That's shipped today.
I have to hide more of my reviews. Shit.
So this is just so you can discover games that the Steam community is currently enjoying based on recent reviews. So you can look at games that people have done positive reviews for and said, yeah, I like this game, and you've never checked it out, so maybe read this review and see if this game's for you. This experiment is pretty cool. I'm going to favorite this one, and then I'll check it out. See the next one. Interactive Recommender. I tried this one. I wasn't a big fan of it. It's meant to recommend you things based on stuff you play and how niche or popular.
Mine is so broken.
I wasn't a big fan of that one, but that one's now a fully shipped experiment if you want to do that one. Play Next Suggestions has been fully shipped into the Steam library UI. If you want it, it can be a shelf. I really like Play Next Suggestions. I actually find that one quite useful for what's Play Next. And I find it useful to have inside my Steam library, so I'd recommend that one. The Automated Show was shelved, if you don't know. It was a format that created like AI created trailers for stuff that would just play.
Yeah,
and I was like,
I kind of like that one, but
I really didn't like that one. I thought that one was.
Why do you like it?
It didn't catch my. I didn't want to watch it. It didn't catch my attention. I just didn't like it.
I kind of liked it because you could just like. I think the way it was implemented was kind of interesting because you could scroll past it and it'd like show the trailer for it.
Yeah. The deep dive was shelved as well.
Yeah, was that useful? I remember this one.
So I think you would choose a game and then it would recommend you games like that game, and then you could click on that game and it would recommend you games like that game, and it would keep showing you the separation between those games.
Okay,
they said basically
always had like
the most interesting thing they got from the deep dive experiment was that similar tags match. It was the idea of having similar tags for a matching algorithm. Yeah. So it allowed them to organize the hundreds of Steam tags into a handful of meaningful categories, because then they could say, well, these tags kind of mean the same thing, so if we put them together and we recommend based on these loads of tags that all kind of mean similar things, we can actually give people better recommendations. That's what they learned from Deep Dive. The News and Events Hub, I use this all the time. I love the News and Events Hub. Please fully implement this. They say they're still working on it because they plan on adding more stuff to it. So that's really cool to see. The query expansion, there's behind the scenes work in the Steam search. This was when they were saying like they were kind of blending tags together. So if you search for 3D and you search for platformer, they would put those together for a 3D platformer, for example, like sort of thing. They're not working on the automated show, Tony, which is
the micro trailers.
They're still working on micro trailers, so I wasn't a fan of micro trailers either, but yeah,
it's not really.
So
in the
they
way,
said
though,
that the future, the News Hub is getting another update, which is cool. I love the News Hub, and yeah, we'll move on. So I saw a headline. It's like Dead by Daylight is getting crossplay, and I was like, yes, finally. That's really cool because Dead by Daylight is on the phone, it is on the Switch, and that would be really cool. It's on the phone, it's on the Switch, it's on the consoles. We'll be able to crossplay between all those, and it'd be really interesting, right? Crossplay is coming to Stadia and Switch. Just those PC, Steam, Stadia, and Switch are the platforms that are getting crossplay. And I'm like, what's the fucking point? Like, Stadia crossplay? For the 2 people playing Dead by Daylight on Stadia, you can now play with your PC friends, I guess. I don't know. I really would have loved to see like console cross-platform play, but this feels like wasted potential, honestly. I don't know. What do you think?
It sounds completely worthless.
Yeah.
How many people are playing this on Stadia?
Apparently it's coming out on Stadia. I don't think it's out on Stadia yet.
Okay.
But it's coming out.
Like most things on Stadia, it's not out on Stadia.
Like most things on Stadia, nobody understands how they work or if they're on Stadia. So yeah.
Are we ready? We go.
Okay, I'm going to talk about a Civilization VI update that adds the Ethiopia Civ. And you may be saying, Joe, why are you talking about a Civilization update and DLC that just adds an Ethiopia race?
Aren't they normally shit?
Now listen to this. They're also updating the game as well. So I believe one of the features is you can now have different personalities to your civs. So you can have the Rough Rider Teddy Roosevelt. It gives you unique bonuses to him. So you can have a different play style.
Yeah, I don't know if you knew that one of the biggest complaints with Civ 6 is like AI, but like had one personality. So like if you saw like Roosevelt, you'd always play exactly the same every time against them, which is really
so you can
not
now
fun.
They're now changing how like spies and embassies work. You can now have one diplomatic quarter, and then you can have your embassy there, which then gives you, I think, some sort of stat. It's like culture or something like that, which is pretty interesting. And it's going to make it easier to stop spies from infiltrating you, is another interesting thing about that. One of the most interesting things, though, Tony, what if I told you the next Civ 5 update is going to allow you to join the Illuminati? You can now get one of your ministers to join a secret organization that has access to different stuff. So one of the secret societies can then see these things called ley line technology, which only the secret society can see. So if you have your tiles adjacent to this kind of advanced technology that no one else can see, you then get bonuses for building around ley lines. There's another secret society that is about science. You get like special science bonuses for joining that secret society. And there's another secret society, Tony, that's all about cultists. So you can send cultists into your opponent's Civ's territory, and you can recruit your Civ's civilians to join your Cthulhu cult, and that decreases the loyalty of their Civ loyalty of their population. And as well, Tony, through the cult, you can recruit vampires. I am not making this up.
Sounds amazing.
I am not making this shit up. There are literal vampire units in Civ 6.
There's 3 comments I want to point out on this video. There's one that's like, "Hey, can we bridge districts together?" And they're like, "No, you can have the Illuminati." And it's like another one. It's like, Civilization 6 is all about history.
Your vampires can build lairs as well, like fucking,
Civ 6 is now the cultist simulator.
Dracula. I can't believe this game is turned into like.
I can't believe you've turned into.
I can't believe they added vampires to Civ 6. It seems like people are comparing it to Crusader Kings 2, where they're kind of adding a bit more of the mysticism, the more eldritch kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Which I think is always interesting. I mean, for God's sake, they have Civ 6 Battle Royale. I mean, at this point...
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
I don't know if this might be what I've already done, but make sure you can turn this off because I feel like some players don't want to deal with this.
I think it's only if you own the DLC sort of thing.
Yeah, what if you want to own the DLC and then be able to turn it off? Like
I
some
don't
people,
know.
like all the time, like Paradox is all the fucking time. You can't turn off certain DLCs if you own it, and it's really annoying.
You can turn DLCs off on Civ, I believe.
Yeah,
So,
as
yeah,
long as
this
it's
is-
easy to do and it's in there, I'm fine. If it sounds like, personally, I think it sounds really fun. I don't care about it being historically accurate. I kind of like the fun stuff.
I know some people are unhappy that it's maybe going from a pure history game to a more mystical game, but I think this is fucking cool. So
I think judging by the likes and dislike on these videos generally are worse than this.
Oh my god,
the
369 clan has disliked this video. 369
what the
dislikes. Hell? Yeah. The hacker clan strikes again.
Mine says 370. I think.
Yep.
They're gone.
So let's move on to the next news. Fortnite Save the World has officially left early access after all these fucking years of. I think it's been in early access for like 3 or 4 years, and everyone's been like, it's not really in early access, but now it's officially left. And they originally planned to go free to play, but they're not going free to play anymore. Speaking of Fortnite, Sony has bought a 250 million stake in Epic Games. This is really interesting for the $250 million percent in Epic Games, because that means that they now have a 1.4% interest in the development studio and publisher. If you don't know, Epic is valued at 17.86 billion. But this would allow Fortnite to work with music artists to make concerts like the Travis Scott one, because if you don't know, Sony owns Sony Pictures and Sony Music. And they could even do film events like they did for the Christopher Nolan films, which they showed in Fortnite. And they also had a promotional thing with Star Wars where they showed an exclusive scene from Star Wars, The Rise of the Skywalker, I believe was the newest film, just for Fortnite.
Yeah.
Go on.
I was saying, don't they own some like Ministry of Sound, or like they like change the? Yeah, I think.
I don't know. Sony Pictures owns.
Yeah,
a lot
they do.
of, like,
They're Ministry of Sound.
Yeah, they own a lot of like music and stuff, so that's pretty cool. Also worth pointing out as well, apart from the Sony Pictures and Sony music stuff, to working on digital concerts and stuff like that. Sony and Epic seem to have a close relation already, because the PS5 the tech demo for Unreal Engine 5 was running on the PS5. They seem to have have a close working relationship, and it seems to be bringing them close together. So Sony has a 1.4% stake in the company, and Epic has confirmed that the Sony deal will not give the PS5 exclusivity over their games. They said they're still going to develop their games for different platforms, but they do like working with Sony, it seems, on stuff like the concerts and PlayStation 5. Yeah.
If you're a big publisher, you're unlikely to be like console exclusive or anything, because like you want to just publish on everything.
Speaking about Sony, we got to talk about Microsoft. Microsoft is launching its xCloud. If you don't know, the xCloud is the streaming service that Microsoft has. It's going to be free with Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. So that means if you have a Xbox Live subscription, you will then have Game Pass, which lets you play free games. You then have access to multiplayer on your Xbox, and you can also stream games to your phone from an Xbox One X. So that's really fucking cool. This is included, so it would be a single £15 a month subscription that you're already paying for your access to games and your Xbox Live access. But you'll also be able to try out this cool streaming service for free, pretty much. If you already own the service, of course. I mean, obviously it's not free, but I mean, your subscription's getting better, so that stuff's really cool to see. Because speaking of game streaming, especially stuff like xCloud, we then had a research paper recently from Nvidia where they were showing off warp drive gaming that was eliminating more than 80% of the latency performance penalty. If you don't know, I will try. Okay, I barely understand this, and this is like a research paper on gaming technology. So I'm going to try and explain this in layman's terms, as much as I understand it. So if I get anything wrong, I'm sorry. So how it's working is it was very necessary to save latency in VR because latency is felt so much harder in VR because of the motion sickness you can acquire from high latency in VR. So what they were doing was, even the slightest head movement, you would have to be constantly rendering new parts of the environment. So what the warp drive technology was doing was it was reprojecting a previously rendered image from your recent view just before displaying the new image, which was actually saving a lot of latency and helping people to overcome that latency. And they were thinking, well, if this is useful for VR, maybe this warp drive technology could be useful for desktop gaming too. So they did some FPS training under high latency conditions, and it showed that when people were playing on the high latency connection of 105, their delay time was massive. And then when they played on the 25 latency connection, their delay time was a lot better. When they played on the 105 millisecond latency with the warp drive technology, their results were similar to the 25 millisecond latency results. So that's pretty cool. I'll put on this video.
With late input sampling, improves aiming under high latency.
So, one thing they said with this is if you're under high latency, this is going to be very useful.
The latency of your computer
because,
system is an important component of the player's
lots of people have high-speed internet access now. But something that would be very useful for this is if you were streaming from a cloud-based streaming thing. Something like xCloud, Stadia, the Sony. What's the Sony one? PS Now. That would be another one that this could help with latency. So if those services were to use the late warp technology, that would be really cool. That would be pretty awesome. I thought it was really interesting. I'm always super interested in this sort of stuff. I love stuff like DLSS. I love dynamic resolution scaling from Vulkan. I love ray tracing technology. We've seen a lot from Nvidia. I'm hoping to see more ray tracing from AMD and how they're doing it. So that's really interesting. But yeah, I think that's the end. I think if you want to check out our video on Devolverland Expo, we have a video reacting to our trailers. If you want to play the game yourself, it's free to play, and you can play it on Steam. It's pretty fun, so if you're interested in experiencing some new Devolver games, check out this game. It's pretty fun. It's a short little experience. I think we talked about everything I wanted to talk about from the Ubisoft Forward event. Let me double check. Let's see. Yeah, they just showed off like Just Dance. They showed off Tom Clancy's Elite Squad. They showed off Trials. They showed off Far Cry 6. I don't know, there just wasn't anything really interesting, to be honest with you. But if any of this interests you, check out the E3 recap website. You can watch all the trailers you missed from the Ubisoft conference. But that is the end of the podcast. Before I end, Andy has asked me to show a video for Martin, so let's show this video. Let's see what it is. He said this reminds him of Martin. That is actually quite an accurate description of me trying to use the Elytra for the first time. After never using the Elytra, flying wings in Minecraft, I pretty much did that same thing where I jumped off and was like, I'm just gonna like parachute down and then just fall down and just dead, and I'm like, shit. It's kind of a learning curve you have to get with the Elytra and use the gliding. I do think the Elytra is really cool because of how you can use fireworks too. Like fireworks become one of the best late game items in Minecraft because of the Elytra.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Really cool.
But anyway, that's in the podcast. And everything in between podcast. That's our YouTube. Twitch.tv/Scorn if you want to watch us live. And at Scorn2000 if you want to see me post information about when we're going live, or VODs of spotlights and the podcast, or sometimes I retweet gaming news. So if you want to follow that, check that out. That is the end of the podcast. Goodbye.
Bye.
The information on Dr. Disrespect is that he's banned from Twitch.
Well, I can't remember the tone. Maybe you can remind me.